do it. Let's do it.
Can you start with your own voice?
1, 2, 3.
That is adorable and creepy.
Welcome to another episode of the Culture Jockeys, where we spin for you the latest and greatest in arts and entertainment. Coming to you live again from the very relaxing Leverett House. My name is Sherry Hu. I'm one of the co-hosts. I'm a rising junior at Harvard. I'm studying statistics and music, and I'm all a music nerd. And for that reason, I'm very excited for today's topic of the week. I'm joined by my co-host.
Richard Nguyen. I'm a rising junior at Harvard College as well, and I'm concentrating in psychology, but my heart lies in film, so that's what I like to do all day, watch movies and play games. And returning, because he couldn't get enough of us, he had so much fun last time, is our guest star,
Odua Makinde, this is Bumia Tsunogunaike. Makinde. Love you guys.
hello. Could you give us a little spiel what you do here?
Oh, right. So I do physics, I play soccer, and I brag about being a Nigerian. Other than that, I sleep. Not much else happens other than the occasional movies and hanging out with culture jockeys. It's a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with the hanging out with the culture jockeys part.
Yeah. It's all writing on that.
Yeah. You know, one more session, and you will be an honorary culture jockey yourself. So, let's keep it going. Keep the good times rolling.
Get that free milkshake.
Exactly, the free milkshake that we give out to people who go on our podcast. Alrighty then. So, we're coming to you with another topic of the week. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And this topic of the week is centered around music, and it concerns modern music tastes. And we're wondering why people tend to like listening to much more upbeat music just in their free time or doing whatever daily activities, be it exercising or even just like sitting chilling in your room, and sort of what that means, or sort of what that shows about our society and our culture, American culture at least, as a whole.
I'll chime in here for a second and like to put out the idea that, I mean, this topic kind of stemmed from my frustration with sort of, like on a day-to-day basis, I'm interacting with people who, like, I consider like my best friends and everything. And sometimes there's a little bit of a tension between our music taste. And that's not, I mean, people will like different kinds of music, right? But on an, regularly though, people will listen to different things and it might not jive with you, especially like on car trips or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you try to put in something you really, really like, you hold dear to your heart.
Yep.
It's like, guys, I want to show you this. And you put it on and they're like, ew, what is this? Like, this is so slow. It's old. And, you know, I have a family member who doesn't like anything that's old or sounds old. And I don't know where that kind of mentality comes from. But it's there. Like, maybe they might not like to admit it, but it's there. And it's not necessarily like a flaw or anything. It's just maybe in a way we've been conditioned, what with top 40 being really fast, really, you know, fast tempo, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you guys think? Would you guys agree? Did you guys come across that? Because it's what I've been coming across, and I do agree though. Like, I'm not, I don't have normal music taste. I tend to deviate towards the classics, which do tend to be a lot slower than what we have now. And a lot of that might be due to the technological capacity with electronic music to have a lot, you know, make things a lot faster, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas back then, everything had to be, the instrumentation and everything had to be, was very limited by the player's physical ability, right? So that's my spiel.
Music Meister?
So yeah, another thought that I just had is it's not only fast in tempo, but fast in terms of like attention span. Like people, there isn't, in terms of what music people listen to, I don't know how much this is related to what you just said, but there isn't really any sort of long-term vision of what music should be anymore in terms of top 40 music, which is why, like, yeah, you don't really hear old sounds. So people always want to like hear the next, you know, pop hit, and they always seem to be looking forward rather than like looking back at something for inspiration. Yeah.
I do agree. Forward looking, I think that tends to be what with our accessibility to music nowadays. That kind of puts us in a position to always expect something else, right? Whereas I totally agree. Probably like back then, because music wasn't as accessible, it was only you can only get it through physical mediums such as records or CDs, even way back in the 90s.
What are those? Yeah.
And those were meant to be right? And it was a special event to put them on and listen to them again and again. And because you didn't have access to anything else, you have to re-listen to them. And the same thing can be said for other mediums of entertainment, like video games. When you were a kid, you'd play that one Pokemon Blue cartridge over and over again. And nowadays, you beat something, you move on to the next one. And it's a blessing and a curse at the same time to what with digital format and Spotify to have everything at our hands.
Yeah, I also think there's something really interesting about what you said, is that people are always looking forward to the next thing. It's no longer just staying with that music that you loved. And I thought, and I don't know, this is just like me spitballing here, but it feels also that like music has kind of shifted its niche in our society. In that usually when you hear music, not everyone, but like if you hear it on the weekend, people are just jamming to music, it's often a background thing. Like you're at a party and you want to socialize with people, so you put on music to be like fill in the void. Whereas to me, like I feel like there are other ways to interface with music. And I feel like that in the past was like music was your main thing, and then maybe you would have dinner when you were having like listening to music. Maybe you would talk to someone, but the baseline was you were enjoying the music and then you added some stuff on. I feel like now you're trying to do something else and you add the music, and that's made it a little more, I hate to say superficial, but like a little more less, like with less depth or less, I don't know.
I think you're tying into the distinction between active and passive listening.
There you go.
And I agree, like what, you know, we do this all the time back in our room, play Smash, or we just are drinking or playing beer pong or something. And something, you want something to fill in the void, but you're not necessarily actually listening to it actively at all. It's just nice to have. And every once in a while, you'll hear something recognizable, which is usually the chorus. And you sing along, which is fun. But everything else is just, you have that expectation that, again, like it adds to the energy of the environment. And people like that. You want to be high energy. And like when you do have this kind of music you put on in the background, it's never slow. It's always fast and high energy.
Well, right. So if the music's in the background, then you gotta see that like it's supposed to be supplying the environment. It's not the environment you walked into. You want to carry the music with you. You want the music to do something for you. And I don't know, for our generation, especially like our age group, we work hard in like college, or we're doing some crazy stuff outside. And when it comes to like time with your friends, I feel like just sitting and relaxing, like laying back, isn't something we do like in, I don't know, not like laying back. There's like, you want to do something with people, but you're so burnt out from like doing so many other things. You need that extra little bit of like energy. And that's like supplied by the music. Yeah,
I think just chilling out and being mellow is somewhat undervalued. Because you always want to be, like, people can always always ask the question, like, oh, can we do something? And like, I mean, it's all the personal taste, what you deem as fun. And like, to me personally, I'm just okay with sitting back and relaxing. And that's doing something to me. But to others, that doing something might be going out and just getting shit-faced and just doing whatever the heck that is. And
it's productive in another way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just difference in taste. But, you know, I'm wondering, what is your guys' idea of a good time? For music, what does it do for you? What do you expect from your kind of music?
So I guess before I answer that question, I wanted to bring in two, I guess, anecdotes that relate to like everything that you guys just said. So first of all, starting from a while ago, like Spotify's layout was distinctly focused on like featuring playlists that provided some sort of service. So rather than have playlists of genre, so like rock or pop, jazz, funk, whatever, it would have like morning commute.
Oh yeah.
Or like, I mean, if there were jazz playlists, it would be coffee table jazz. So it'd be meant to, be played in the background while you're having conversations with friends. They would also have like a lot of workout playlists. So there's an emphasis on music not really enjoyed for its own sake, but rather to provide a rhythm for whatever else you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then another anecdote, which will sort of lead into your question. So there is just for some background, there's an annual concert at Harvard College called Yard Fest, where people bring in, some sort of celebrity pop star. It was Jessie J this year, and it was really nice. But then people already start partying really hard at 3 or 4 p.m. Before the concert, and I happened to be living across from all the final clubs at the time, and they were all blasting music, the same sort of type of EDM music from their buildings, and it was just so cacophonous.
Cacophonous, I like that word.
Thank
It's
you.
a great word. So underused.
Actually, yes.
Cacophonous. Anyways, sorry.
No problem. So then I was just passing all of this, being like, what is going on? And I walk into my dorm, and there's a security guard there. And as I'm walking in, he just says, I totally understand. I totally understand all of this. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, Harvard College life is hard. People work really hard during the week, and you just gotta let loose during the weekend. And the only way you can't letting loose by just laying back and I guess chilling out isn't as satisfying or as electrifying as
Yep.
dancing really hard, partying really hard to some really upbeat tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
That does make a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, hell, don't take me wrong, I love dancing too.
Oh, dancing.
My energy,
great.
it's totally appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I just, unfortunately, I do feel like it's been overdone, especially in our generation. I think there's an overemphasis on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it tends to, I guess, crowd over more of the mellow stuff, right? Being phased out, where I think people aren't even listening to that stuff anymore just because it's too slow. But yeah, no, I mean, waiting for that, bass to drop, which indicates something else about what people look for in music, right? It's all right, it has to have a good bass drop.
Right.
Got
but
it.
if it doesn't have a drop, doesn't mean it's bad.
Exactly, right? But
yeah.
I think that's when it's moments like that when it's disruption or piercing in the mood or whatever in the song, people really look forward to that stuff, right? I don't know, just a little observation. But yeah.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, I think we generally would agree that that music is supplying them with energy or something akin to energy, which I don't know, could be their way of recovering, their way of being happy, or their way of I don't know, lubricating some social situation. But then if you both feel like you might be slightly outside of those kind of music tastes, then what does music do for you? If it doesn't give you straight energy in that kind of way, does it provide something else?
I primarily look for emotion.
Yeah.
An effective
really important.
sound.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I listen to that kind of music like EDM, it's excitement, it's arousal, but it's not pointed in any particular direction. Right? I of course, being positive and upbeat. That's more on the happier emotional spectrum, positive valence, which is when you do have a valence in that kind of music these days, it's always on that side. Anything on a negative side is, I don't know, I think it's definitely not appreciated as much as I'd like it to. Which is why I like listening to classical movie scores too, which is its primary goal is to instill some sort of affect, right, in whatever scene it's being included in. And I listen to that all the time, and I listen to it when I do homework. So whenever any assignment I do is an emotional roller coaster, all of a sudden I'm crying and everything.
And then you just add to it.
Yeah. It's jeez. But I think it's amazing, and I think there's a lot of intricacy in the instrumentation and the orchestration, and there's a lot to get out of it when you're listening to that. And I think that's when you pay attention to the finer details of whatever piece you're listening to, because you try to pinpoint exactly what is producing that kind of timbre that's making me sad, that's making me feel happy, right? Whereas I think with the other, I mean, I'm kind of shitting on EDM by mentioning it like this, but I'm not saying it's a bad form of music.
I'm still gonna dance to it.
I'll still dance to it. Yeah.
All day. Yeah.
I just can't quite articulate what is making it. I can't quite look at its mechanical complexity and really digest anything out of that. I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I don't understand EDM as much as I did classical or something like that. But it's just generally broadly exciting and stimulating and loud. That's all I can say about that.
True.
And it doesn't really add anything much more beyond that for me. So I'm not going to be listening to this, which is why like EDM is great party music, house music, but it's not necessarily music I listen to outside. You know. So.
Yeah.
No.
Going back to you mentioning film scores, I tried to listen as much as I can to music like in full album form because I really value albums that tell a story. So we had another episode on To Pimp a Butterfly. That's a great example of music, an album that I could not listen to as background music. It's not meant to be listened to while you're, I mean, maybe working out, but even that would like take away from the experience, I think, just because there's so much complexity in the book musically and lyrically, and it evolves so well like from the first track to the last. Whereas like for EDM, even just thinking of top 40 or like the most famous EDM artists, they're known for like singles, and like there isn't really a story from what I understand. It's just like a fleeting moment of energy, and it can continue throughout a night, but then like even that night is just fleeting. It's just a moment of energy that just like comes and goes. Yeah.
What do you think, Malcolm?
No, I think that's mad accurate. You've said exactly what I felt about music in probably much better language than I could.
No.
I mean,
I've thought about it a lot.
I mean, fair, but like it does provide some kind of resonance with some like deep part of you, and sometimes if something's not resonating, like you don't have enough energy, then that little wave packet, forgive me, I'm a physicist, that little wave packet needs a little boost, needs to pop up, needs a spike.
Yeah.
So people try to jam in as much energy as they can, and that's fine. They need something there, but there are also other parts of your life that I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that like energetic socialite inside of me has like maybe he's tired for a reason and he needs to take a break.
Yeah.
And like maybe there's some other parts like the somber, pensive me, or like
somber and pensive. I love that.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Sometimes even the like rager needs to pop out sometimes. But there's a moment for each.
Yeah.
To each there is a time. There's a time for everything under the sun. And I think there's a piece of music for everything under the sun. I'd like to get a little feel for it. And I think I know like my general niche for like what I do in my own, I don't know, my general resting state. But that's because like that also like helps me identify what my general resting state is. And like it allows me to like introspect more, because it's much easier, at least for me, to piece apart a piece, like an external piece of music, and it's like its intricacies, it's like interweavings of different emotions, than it is to stare into the void of swirling emotions that is myself and try to parse out what the heck is going on. So I don't know. I feel like it's an undervalued treat to listen to like your favorite music.
Yeah, no, definitely. And maybe it's because we do live in a culture that values the extrovert over the introvert, of being outgoing and happy all the time rather than being somewhat sad and vulnerable, which is a great topic that we discussed in Inside Out, by the way. But maybe in a social situation, the reason why people always gravitate towards the happier, upbeat music is because they feel like it enhances the social harmony that's going on. And that if you do try to introduce some sadness in there and make everyone feel vulnerable, that might disrupt things. But I maybe being sad together is also a form of bonding that I think isn't necessarily being done a lot, because there is a fear of being vulnerable, right? But if maybe that idea is so scary that's why you try to avoid listening to slower or somber music. But I feel like when you are vulnerable with each other, that's also going to be a valuable experience. I was in a road trip and we were in the woods, like we were in a like national park, and it was like really, it was like a forest. It was scary and dark, and I was like, I want to put on the Gone Girl score. No, not like this. I put on like Just Like You, the really nice one. The really nice one, not the scary one, but the really nice one that's like really atmospheric.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't scary or anything. It was just kind of odd. Like really, there's something unsettling about it in the beginning, but after that point, after the halfway point, it turns into this nice, quaint piano theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, "Yo, what is this?" Because it sounds so ethereal, right? That's the kind of quality you get in that kind of sound. And it's not. We were listening to that like I think Katy Perry before that, so it was a drastic change in mood.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, guys, I really want to share this with you. And they're like, no, this is not in the woods, man. I can't do it. I was like, oh god, I tried. I really did. But yeah, no. I guess that's going back again to my frustration with what I see to be, in my personal experience, a trend in music taste, in depending on the situation. So, yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So now I'm actually thinking to like my music tastes and how or my listening habits and how they've changed over the past couple months. So towards the end of last semester, the last half of last semester, exclusively EDM. I like would only listen, not like
Whoa.
hardcore EDM dubstep, but like
5 classes what?
no, yeah, but I would listen to almost exclusively electronic music that had like a very steady beat, and it was like very mechanized, and I felt that like fit how I felt mechanized like with my coursework and how I was like getting into such a routine, and the only way that I would feel comfortable with that is if the music I was listening to was equally routine.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so then I had also like a whole playlist of like music that I would work to or something. And I tried listening to it the other day, and like it didn't feel the same. Because this summer is like a lot more laid back. I have a lot more free time to, hang out and relax. And like I've been listening to a lot more like acoustic music or like more down tempo rock pop, because that just like fits the mood a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if I were sitting in my room now listening to EDM, I would just stop after a while. Actually, like I wouldn't feel very comfortable. Yeah.
That's a great line of questioning, actually. Makinde, what was your past music taste, and maybe has it changed in any way? And what are you listening to nowadays?
I've gone through a lot of different tastes in music. Mm-hmm. The EDM thing, I never really listened to it consistently. I have to admit, I have dance fever. Like, if I hear a good beat, it is literally impossible for me to not stop popping to it.
Yeah.
Just get into it. Mm-hmm. But the EDM it's not a thing that I'd like just sit down and like listen to or process. There was a period in high school where that was all I could do. That was literally the only thing that would happen. No music, no classical, no African, no jazz, no flamenco, nothing could go through my ears but EDM. And then I think I finished my college applications. And they just dropped. It just dropped off the face of the earth.
So the moral of the story is, if you want to get some work done, listen to some fucking EDM, alright?
Actually, though, yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. And what, of course, now in college, what are you listening to nowadays?
So now I still really enjoy music with a solid beat.
Yeah.
And I think that to me, and I think that would probably be a personal thing, is even more important than lyrics to me, is this like a very interesting beat. Sometimes it can be repetitive. I like kind of complex things. I like to say that's my African roots, but as long as it's an interesting beat, even like a relatively simple melody, as long as it has a slight emotional tinge on it, solid. So most of my songs actually do just have like some kind of funky beat or some twist that's unusual. And I would say that they're a little slower tempo, a little more melancholy, I would actually say. Like a lot of the songs, like the things when I breeze through YouTube, it's not like sunshine in the morning, it's like nighttime, or like strolling or solitude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It says something. Mm-hmm. And I like to see that.
As you might have noticed, Mockinday is no longer here, which is kind of awkward. He had to go to watch Rush Hour 2. So we're gonna finish up this topic real fast because I still have a little bit of something to say about what I'm listening to these days. So hopefully you guys would like to listen to that for a bit. But yeah, like before, of course, all I listened to, I mean, like especially with Top 40, all of them have a pretty defined beat. In fact,
it's becoming a lot more uniform. Like the type of beat, the speed, and
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, with the 4-chord songs too and everything.
Oh,
It's repeating stanzas and choruses and everything. So there's a lot of uniformity, a lot of order there.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a lifetime of that, I've gotten a little sick of uniformity. I've wanted a bit of chaos in my life. Freeform jazz.
Oh my god.
I mean, jazz in general tends to be...
Jazz is amazing,
It is a great, disruption in that uniformity. Even with classical music or movie scores, there is especially with Wagner's Sea of Harmony, there is not necessarily about beat, more about flowing melodies.
Yes.
Right. And so I generally like that more. I like feeling floaty with my music rather than hard hitting and knowing what to expect. After a few seconds. And that's generally been a more rewarding experience for me personally. I like that a lot more. That's just what I've listened to these days, of course. And all the classics, all the oldies, classic rock is a good time. And, that's what I've been listening to these days. And everything, generally I've been listening to only things before, during the 20th century. That's what I think. So I've been enjoying that quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's just, I feel like I'm born in the wrong generation. And that's totally okay.
I mean, so, arguably, I'd say, some of the older sounds are coming back. So I'm thinking of To Pimp a Butterfly, which isn't quite, mirroring the old sounds, but it's bringing a lot of that, slower, some of the tracks have, slower and more, funk beats and, definitely jazzier harmonies as well.
Yeah, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why To Pimp a Butterfly was such a refreshing album to listen to.
And so there are two artists featured on the album, Kamasi Washington, who is a trumpet player, or saxophone player, who came up with his own album. I think it's called The Epic, which is just
The Epic.
It's actually epic jazz. Good
God. Will it overwhelm me? Take me over.
I actually felt overwhelmed in the best way possible when I first listened to it. And then, have you heard of Thundercat?
No, I haven't.
Okay, he's a bassist, vocalist. He was featured on Wesley's Theory, which is the opening track.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He recently came with an album that totally goes back to 70s style, funk and R&B, and it's really, really good. So it seems as if To Pimp a Butterfly has catalyzed music making centered around that old sounding. I don't know if that's signaling an overall trend in that genre back to older sounds, but
there one might say in the postmodernist age which we live in right now, which might actually be currently transitioning to a postmodernism. But postmodernism is all about irony and being referential and self-aware, ironic, and that does tend to take form in harkening back to older sound and being aware of the fact that you yourself are living in this modern world and you want to kind of work against modern ideals. And perhaps, we are in a postmodern age in a lot of art forms. Film in general has been very ironic these days. So, that was a great podcast.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Good topic of the week. Unfortunately, we couldn't do Mockingday's topic because he had to leave early, but we promise you, he'll be back. Yeah, come on, do it. Come on, I'm right here, do it. So, this... But wait, what was I going to say? Okay, subscribe to us if you liked our video. Like us. Visit us on Podomatic or YouTube at The Culture Jockeys.
Facebook as well.
Or on iTunes.
Culture Jockeys.
Culture Jockeys. Give us 5 stars, but still leave us constructive feedback.
Yes.
5 stars would be awesome. But, yes. So, This is Richard. You can find me. This is Richard. I'm Richard.
This
I am.
is
This is Richard. Right here, what you see right here. I am Richard. You can find me on the Twitters now at GG YOLO, not yellow. You can also find me on Facebook at Richard Nguyen and on my WordPress blog at Life in 24 Frames Per Second.
And this is Sherry. You can find me on the Twitters as well at SherryWho42, as well as on my WordPress, SherryWho.wordpress.com, and on Facebook.
Wonderful. Well, that was another successful episode. Peace out, folks. Have a great night, and be listening to your music. Don't afraid to be a little chill. Wow. Yeah. Alright. We good? We good? Okay. We good?
That was good.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Alright, so.
Okay.
Dude, we should totally do our next main segment on Magic Mike XXL. If you go watch Magic Mike
Okay.
XXL this Wednesday.
You know what? I'll go.
Fuck yes!
Yes!
We're going to Apple Cinema, so it's cheap.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's like basically the only reason I'm going. It's because it's cheap.
Oh, not for the purpose
Sorry.
of.
No.
So, like, unfortunately, my movie pass doesn't do Apple Cinema, but
Right.
it's still
I mean, it's
only
$5.
$5. Yeah.